we are talking about the artist at the table and in the community. And it's going to be a fairly loose conversation. This is how some of these are really going to go. We're doing some collective thinking. We're doing some prompts for some individual thinking. So I think we'll have a good conversation. And what I've got our little agenda there. The first thing we're going to do is a call for inspiration or learnings. So if in the past week you've reflected on something that's relevant to the group and your artistic practice and the community, we're going to give a chance for about 5 people or so to share that. So be thinking about that. I'll talk a little bit more, and that's going to be one of the first things we do. Then we're going to do an overview of arts-based community development, and we'll talk about a few definitions, not really, but kind of loose and just engage and kind of spark some thinking. And then we're going to talk about the Southeast Greenway call that's out now. And then after that, we'll just have a space for some question and answer, and that'll be tonight. Now, we're building this slowly. So each week, there's going to be something exciting, I think. Tonight, it's the Greenway call, which we put out about a week and a half ago. But each time there's going to be something worth checking in for, I think. So let's start with a quote. Well, let's see. You know what? I thought I had this is going to be each night we're going to do something maybe a little inspirational, a little thought-provoking. But the quote tonight is, "The purpose of art is to lay bare the questions that have been hidden by the answers." The purpose of art is to lay bare the questions that have been hidden by the answers. And that's James Baldwin. So last week we talked about our effort. We're going to advance community goals, explore and experiment together. We're going to build a learning community, integrate artists and civic problem solving. We're going to pay artists, and we're going to strengthen the network of artists in Roanoke. So with that, let's come back to our starting point, which is going to be some inspiration and learning. So if you've reflected on your artistic practice after our conversation last week, maybe it was something that was said last week that's promoted or kind of prompted you to do some thinking, or maybe something good has happened that you want to kind of share with the group, or an aha. And so raise your hand if you've got anything you'd like to share. And it can be from the simple to the philosophical, but I think this is a great way to kind of reconnect. All right, terrific. That's the Stallings.
Yes. Hey. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to share the good news. I just started this week in Roanoke City at Lucy Addison Middle School as the art teacher. And as a practicing artist for so long, it's been amazing to cross over into the realm of artist educator. And what's that doing to my creative process? I wanted to share. It's just burgeoning, exploding, just epiphany moments and aha moments, and the flood of how to connect people and understand groups. And it's just a wild ride, and I'm having an incredible experience on day 3. So, woohoo! Giving thanks.
Excellent. Somebody made a comment last week about how children, that we're creative as children, and then it comes out of us somehow. It's beaten out of us. That we're not physically, but we're discouraged from it in some ways. Only certain people are allowed to be artists, which is kind of an unfortunate message that happens. And I just think about the inspiration of young people and what that is doing to you. So thank you for that, for sharing that. We celebrate you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah. Someone else, you can use the reaction button and raise your hand, and you'll go right to the top of the screen, and we can see you. Because I can't see everybody at one time. But who has another one? And we've had some comments coming in the chat as well, congratulating you, and from another teacher too. That Dan just popped on, and he congratulated you. Yeah. All right. Any other inspiration, ahas?
Well, I'll just chime in on the Teaching Art to Kids project, because I never really planned to do that. but I ended up doing that. And I remember times when I'd be really discouraged because it was hard running a business as a working artist separate from any institution. And I would be like sometimes discouraged, and then I'd have a group of kids come bounding into my studio, and they were so excited and so much fun to be with that I'd always feel really re-inspired by the kids. So I totally get that walking into a classroom and having kids be like super excited about what you're offering, it really can charge you up as a working artist.
Excellent. And you hear that too. You know, it does make a difference. You know, sometimes we consider ourselves one thing, and especially the creative process, you think I need all this time by myself. I really got to get into my zone and my space. And sometimes I'll limit the interactions I have when kind of they work in the opposite way often. They surprise you that way. Terrific. Any other comments? All right, well, we'll dig on in, and we're gonna have some opportunity for some more interaction as we go. Okay, so let's see, I pressed the button. Where's it going? Okay, there it goes. So we say the artist at the table and in the community. So I'd like you to just picture a table. Okay, so what happens at that table? You raise your hand or use your reaction button to raise your hand and pop up, and let's have a couple of people share with us what kind of table you pictured and then what happens at that table. Susan.
My table is round and we share things, whether it be food or laughs or knowledge or whatever.
Why is your table round? That sounds intentional.
My table's round because there's no power place. The power places are on the sides of the table. And with a round table, there's no sides. So everybody is on an equal footing.
Thank you. Thank you. So a round table and there's sharing happening. Yeah. Anybody else picture a table? Helen.
I have a round table also, and I think it encourages discussion of ideas and thoughts.
Encourages discussion of ideas and thoughts. Great. I have to make a comment. There is a triangular table where the Roanoke Arts Commission meets, and I'm convinced that you can't have a good conversation around that table. We have plenty of good conversations, but because it's such a good group, it overcomes the shape of that table. But thanks, Helen. All right, any other tables? Did anybody picture a table? Oh, it's Stephen.
Thanks. Yeah, I was having a little trouble earlier, so I couldn't chime in about what we could bring. But yeah, the idea of the table, it's sort of a potluck. I think everyone should feel free to bring whatever they want to share with everyone else. And, you know, if they have a particular specialty that they're good at, to just bring that. You know, in my case, I've been moved into the area about 7 months ago. I've been an artist for about 34 years now, I think. So my hope is to sort of share the knowledge that I've got about being a professional artist and what that means and how to help younger artists maybe. So that's hopefully what I can bring.
Thank you. And I like you mentioned food. So your table might be it sounds like it might be a kitchen table or a dining table where there's sharing happening as people are willing to share, as
Sure.
they're willing. Yeah.
Yeah. And just they're welcome to eat too.
Yeah.
Not necessarily having to bring anything.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Any other thoughts on the table?
Doug, I had a table. Oops. This is
Great.
Polly.
Hey, Polly. Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay.
Mine was unusual. I started to hesitate to share because at first my beautiful wooden table out in the forest was kind of close up looking at different items. And then I kind of shot back all of a sudden, and all the people, instead of what I would normally expect to see equally around the table, they're actually really small, like trying to get up to the table. So that's kind of a metaphor of where we've been, and a lot of tables I have been around and people sharing that they didn't feel heard or understood. So yeah, I'm
Thank
glad
you.
we're all here today at this table.
Yeah, that's a powerful visual, Polly. Thank you. Yeah. Kelly. Let's see, I think you're off mute, but I can't.
Sorry, can you
there
hear me
go.
okay?
Sure
Okay,
can.
sorry.
Gotcha.
I forgot I had a mute button. So hi, I'm Kelly. This might be a weird introduction because I had a bit of an unusual one as well. But for some reason, I just saw a very old, cracked dinner table and an empty room with a bunch of, the rugs flipped over and the papers are all over the place. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. I thank you for painting that visual for us. And I think that's going to carry some weight as we continue our conversation. Thank you. Yeah. Kyle.
Yes, I don't think I would have a table at all. I'd have a buffet table and make everybody mingle so that everybody would get to greet everybody else and mix it up.
Oh yeah. If you have chairs around your table and people sit down, they're only
Right.
talking, sometimes if it's a big
Or-
table, it's hard to, yeah.
If you have an actual table, then there's a limit to how many people could be involved. And if you're reaching out into the community and you want an exchange of ideas, so I guess, simply different buffet tables all around a big common area with lots of quilts and picnic rugs and stuff. It'd be like speed dating. Every time a bell would ring, you'd have to jump to a different quilt with your meal.
Oh, great. Kyle, thank you. Thank you. You can tell that you do a lot of good work with groups of people. Thank you. Simone.
I'm just unmuting. Hi, can you see?
Hey, sure
I
can.
can't camera. I was thinking more about the legs of a table, and I heard an interesting metaphor about the legs of the table, and that the table is actually our beliefs, and the legs are what holds up those beliefs. And sometimes those legs can be very wobbly and unstable, or sometimes they can be strong and truthful. So that's all.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Okay. This is why I love artists. You've taken this, this is a cliche, right? In a way, kind of around the table, because we've heard it so much. But the way you imagined it is very specific. And so it brings it to life again. And that is the power of the artist. Let me keep going a little bit, and some things that I was thinking about and some things that I was, reading, we were talking about. And I will say that we're using, just kind of touching on it as a structure for our conversations. Americans for the Arts has the kind of a curriculum, artist at the community development table. And that's where we're getting some of this imagery. And so they're looking, they mentioned a place of intersection and exchange, where information's exchanged and stories might be exchanged, plans might be exchanged, goals, needs, purposes. And immediately you've asked the question, who's left out of the table? Is the table big enough? Whose goals are represented around the table? whose purposes, whose needs. Yeah. So thank you. Well, now let's ask another question. And Heather, you had your hand raised. Do you have one more comment on the table you wanted to make?
No, it's just another, just another variation of the table fantasy. I wanted to get in on that, but let's move forward. I might have something for the next question.
Okay. So the next question is just in general. I mean, what's the role of an artist? How do you see the role of what role does an artist play? And okay, Mr. Stallings, and you're on mute still.
All right, there it is. I lost myself. There I was and I was gone. All right, so yeah, interestingly enough, so about that first thing about the question and the answer, which I need to revisit, but the question and the answer and the problem, the challenge, and the hopeful solution. So my example from today that's hot and fresh, right, present in my thinking and my process is, so there's there's this idea about what is art. So these middle schoolers taught me that their version of art doesn't really work for them. So they're going to check out, right? And so I said, well, what's the solution? I said, well, what is that person's interest? What is their story? And they are extremely physical, extremely active. They are competitive. They're into bantering and so on and so forth. So as an artist, the role of an artist in my situation of that is to take their reality, not mine, but their reality, help them to encompass what I'm talking about with creative processes and make it their own. So my strategy could be creating a game where the art is part of creating the actual fun, right? So the role of an artist is to take things that aren't connecting, because things aren't connecting in humanity and groups of people. We don't connect all the time, right? So if we're trying to, as artists, see empathy and understand what people are going through, what's their struggles, what is that challenge that's making the larger group not work, then the role of an artist can definitely be to see in those kind of ways of subtlety and nuance, like the old masters with understanding expression, and then bringing that to the modern time and saying we can use our service more than just making images. We can actually use that to connect people, provide. So that's my run.
Thank you. So I heard a connector, a seer, and the nuance. So now let's see, and then Jane.
So there's a quote that I am like writing on the top of every single page of every single sketchbook by Toni Cade Kambara. And she says, the role of the artist is to make revolution irresistible.
To make revolution, how do you think, to make revolution irresistible? To make revolution irresistible. Neat.
I mean, revolution is, extreme change, but that's what we need,
Yeah. Thank you. Erica.
What I was gonna say too, I love all these ideas already. Another thing I thought of is that I think artists can help people to be okay with having an opinion about what they're seeing, what they're hearing. I think I work with a lot of younger people, like college age people, and I think what I see in them right now is this feeling like there is only right and wrong. They either make mistakes or they're perfect and there's no in between. And I feel like art can really be an avenue to help them see, or any audience to see, that they can have opinions and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So to encourage dialogue through that and acceptance and having a voice, and that it's okay to have a voice.
Wow, that's a powerful role for art. Yeah.
I love it.
Heather, your hand's still raised. Did you have another point? Let's see. Okay, Heather, or
Oh, no, I'm here. Yes, I did. Thank you. Is that okay? Can I speak twice?
yeah.
Well, I think, you know, you have people who, you know, play all kinds of roles in the community as far as teaching and instruction and observing culture and politics and everything. But when I think of the greatest works of art that last throughout time, and really make an impression on a broad range of people, like to me, those are like the artists that transcend, you know, and their art, when you encounter it, you transcend, you know, it's something that's special. And I really feel like it's the artist's role to make people transcend.
Transcend. Thank you. Simone, did you have another comment? Okay. Hey, Ashley.
Yes, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Awesome. I was just thinking that to me, one of the most powerful things that any artist can do is to invite people to unblind themselves, not necessarily to show them what we see, but to invite them to see everything in the world differently. And often that's inviting people to see beauty, but it can also be, and I think Simone brought this up, inviting them to see reality, even if it's ugly, which is what activist artists do. So those feel like opposite things, but I think they're very much connected, and it's worth thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, there's a piece in that exhibit we have, welcome to Roanoke, showing, you know, it's supposed to show us as a welcoming and compassionate community, and or have us, you know, contemplate it. And I can think of one image in particular, a couple of them, that shows us the opposite of that is really, you know, striking in the way it makes us think and consider, you know, are we compassionate? Where we fall short of where we want to be. Yeah. Kyle, did you have a comment? Okay.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Okay. I just want to make sure the hand was still raised. Okay. So already we've got the table and we've got the artist. So when the artist comes to the table, how can it help where the table has fallen short for us? And, you know, we're talking about community development in particular in this series. You know, I hope this artist network is going to do many, many things, and that it's going to go run long and hard, and help us connect in different ways and explore, you know, kind of whether it's business practices, or maybe there's even, you know, who knows? I won't even say, because I think it can do lots of things. But first, we're focused on the role in the community of the artist and community development. And there are many, I've been in community development for 20 years or more, and there are many, many definitions of community development. I have one in my head that I know it when I see it. Here's one that they use, that Americans for the Arts uses in this discussion: a many-faceted design and planning process, creating useful, transformative, we heard transcendent. Yeah, useful, transformative, vibrant spaces with and by the people who live there. So, with and by the people who live there. Yeah, I think it says with in the curriculum, but I think by is an important word there as well. And of course, it's not something done for the community. It's something done with the community. It's something done by the community. Not something that's done for the community. So with that, why would we bring arts into the mix? Maybe for everything we just said. Maybe because we feel that we keep doing things the same way. We keep having the same people around that table. Perhaps if we bring an artist in around the table, it can shake things up a little bit, maybe inspire us to think a little bit differently. I am convinced that there are magic people in the world, and that when you bring them into a room, and you know who they are in your life or in your workspace, when they're in the meeting, it just goes better. They bring out the best in other people. And maybe that's part of what artists can bring. The purpose of art is to lay bare the questions that have been hidden by the answers. It may be that some tables, when a group of people are coming around it to do a project, they might be experts. They might have been doing it 20-some years. They might have one approach, and it might get certain results. But if we bring artists into the mix, what might be possible? How can it change the conversation? How can it change the exploration? How can it change who else is invited into the table? How can it help us transcend? How can it help us connect? How can it help us see differently? How can it bring the nuance out? So listening. I think we're doing these, this is kind of very surface in a way tonight, and we're going to keep going deeper and kind of circling down, and it's going to be based in projects that we're working on over the next 2 years. But listening is going to be one of our key tools. And listening, if you do it intentionally and you do it with humility, it gets a very different result. And of course, it's different than hearing, and it's a foundation for understanding. But listening, is there a way that we can listen better around the table? And then observing, and that's what artists do, right? Artists are observers. And I don't know who I was talking to recently. I have too many conversations, I think. But they were saying, we can hire somebody who has, graphic design background, or we can hire somebody who has this, and this. And who knows all the tools, but if they can't observe and draw from their observations, they can't do it. And we have blinders, and there's noise in our lives, and those noise are our biases. That noise is what we think we see out there, what we know is happening, right? We all have those. We all have those biases and blinders. Is there a way, by bringing artists around the table, to observe what's happening, using their skills of observation, that we can get a different result? That's what we hope. That's what we hope and believe, right? That's our hypothesis as we move forward. And thanks for digging into this. I think that listening is key on building relationships, and I think that's often where we fall short. I'll just say, I don't even want to use we. I'll say I. This is where I often fall short. I'm so busy wanting to get things done. I have goals. I know what I want to have happen. I'm scattered because I'm trying to do too much in one piece of time. And am I stopping to connect? Am I stopping to connect? Am I stopping to ask those questions too, of who isn't around the table? We can go through all these motions, and if we don't step back and ask those questions, we're doing it for naught. We're not going to make that progress. And remember last week we had that beautiful Mary Catherine Bateson quote about the big leap, the evolutionary leap. I think that's kind of what we can talk about as a community, by doing something differently, doing it intentionally, learning together in a group. And that's what we're focused on. So what is all this? All that being said, what does that have to do with our first call, the self-portrait project? And let me give you a minute. You're tired of hearing my voice already, I know. So let me give you a minute to think about it. And then I want to ask for some kind of responses. So connect our conversation that we've just had with that self-portrait project. If one or two people want to offer some thoughts on that. So Stephen.
Thanks. Again, it kind of goes back to my comment about the potluck dinner. I think a lot of artists might assume that the self-portrait has to do with something that they might not necessarily initially want to do. And I think what this encourages is for everyone to do exactly what they want to do, which is putting their best foot forward, which is really, I think, what you want to elicit, not what everyone thinks they're supposed to do, but what they do best.
Thank you. And Ashley and Heather, you still have your hands raised. I want to check in and see if you have another comment or if the hand's just left up.
Shoot, I did leave mine up, but I can say something.
Okay, do.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, your relationship to the community and the art you would make about that or whatever is just so relational. It's hard to make broad statements about it, but I don't know. When I think about doing a self-portrait, I mean, I'm an observer. Like, I do observational artwork, you know, so my vision starts to collide with the architecture of the area, the community, different neighborhoods I have a particular affection for. Like, I already put a lot of that into my paintings. So I really think of myself as an observer, but I can tell that there's a lot of participants on here who are more of like art activists, you know, and then people who are really into education. And we need all of those components, you know, to have a healthy art culture in the area. So it's good to have all the variety here. So, all right, I rambled, sorry.
No, that was terrific. Yeah. And there are those components. And in a way, you know, after I was putting this presentation together last night or whenever that was, I started to think, you know, there's like a table within us in a way. You know, we've got different parts of ourselves and we can keep them apart. Sometimes you know, I think of, you know, I work for bureaucracy, right? Or a couple of bureaucracies, the state government and the local government. And creativity can be a key part of any aspect of any employee's work and engagement. But we often leave part of ourselves at home, right? Simone, you have a thought? It's not, is it? Oh, there you go. Oh, no, you hit it one more time. Hit it one more time. I want to hear what you're saying. There you go.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I was thinking that this self-portrait project is a way to define the participants, but it's more than that. It's a definition of the city. And it's, I think, in the work that will be produced, I think of the audience that would see the work, and it's an identification process. It's a way of belonging and finding, oh, look at that self-portrait. Yes, that's me. I am there. And so not only defining the whole community, I see the self-portrait project doing that. I'm an observer in the artwork that I make, but it's mainly as a witness to my internal journey. And so it's identifying emotional states and energetic states. And I think on the whole that art speaks to the soul. So it's an emotive response from the community or from the audience. So to bring that aspect up, not that it's outward looking, that it's an internal looking as well.
Yeah, and that's why we're giving a few months to work on that piece, right? We want this to be a reflective kind of, you know, we want folks to kind of contemplate what they're bringing to their art, what their art brings to them, what they're bringing to the community, ... and it goes on. And then yes, we hope the viewer is going to see these and think, oh yeah, Like, just like, I mean, that's me, just like Simone said, that's me. Yeah, because we've all got creative abilities and we all care about, we're passionate about things. So let's line up these passions, be creative and make it work for the community and invite people. I've just been reflecting more and more just how overwhelming it can be to offer something. Sometimes it's intimidating. What happened? I mean, who am I? Who am I to offer this? What happens if it's rejected? How's that going to feel? Why? Yeah, I'm just not going to do that. So I think there's great potential in that. So let me keep pushing us through here. Again, the purpose of art is to lay bare the questions that have been hidden by the answers. Oh, we already have the answers. They don't need my participation. Again, so on that call, we're looking for new work. We're looking for the self-portrait in a public setting in Roanoke, a reflection of your role in the community and what you're exploring, how you engage, an aspect of the community that you're engaged with. What do you love about this place? What are the challenges you want to address? You can go lots of different directions with that. And with that, I want to start talking about our next call that's out now on the streets. And this one, the self-portrait project is due on February 15th, the applications. We have another call that's due on February 22nd at 2 p.m. And this is a more formal call because it goes through it's $20,000 altogether, and it goes through the city's purchasing program. So there's we've got the sample contract and all the language. It's a little different than the Google form that I put together for the self-portrait call. But we're really, really excited about this. And for this one, we've got you don't have to just hear me talk. We've got a guest. Sunny's here. I heart Southeast. I do. We all heart Southeast. And when you think of around the city, when you say, okay, now what's happening in the neighborhoods? What neighborhoods got it going on where they're creative and they're aligning things, and they're building energy? People invariably say Southeast, and Sunny's the reason. I don't know how she's doing it all, but Sunny and her cadre of engaged neighbors that she's gotten going, they're really doing it. So Sunny, let me ask you just a couple of questions. First, why is art important in Southeast?
Hey, well, we don't all love Southeast, so I think that bringing some art into the neighborhood is really important to help kind of reset the perspective that people have of the neighborhood. When you're driving through, it's easy to see a lot of the negative things popping out at you, and just to be able to turn a corner and see a wall that's brightly colored or a sculpture that's in a spot that you might not have expected it to be. I hope that would give just kind of reset people's minds as they're going through the neighborhood. There are some good things happening here, and so I think more and more of that is great. Anything that we can get here would be very much appreciated.
And what was the first project you took on that where you felt the power?
I think just creating the logo for I Heart Southeast was the first thing that I did, and it's really just snowballed from there. And I just love hearts, so I will put hearts anywhere that anybody will let me. But we need some other people to come in with some fresh ideas, because I think people will like to see something else.
Excellent. I'm so glad you mentioned the logo, and that is a piece of community development and a shared identity. It's critical. You can't do anything without a shared identity, and what's behind that. You've got to. Let's ask what's behind that. Describe the logo for us, and why what the reasoning behind your logo.
Well, it's kind of a ripoff of I Heart New York, of course. That's very famous and recognizable. So just to go with that really simple statement, and a visual to say that, look, there are people here that love Southeast. It's not something to just drive through and keep on going and not look back. there's people that love it here, and you can love it too if you just come and have a visit and open your eyes to all of the good things that are happening here. So I think it's just for us neighbors to claim that we love it, and to shine that out, and hopefully that just gives people something to think about.
Yeah, I saw it and immediately, my first thought was, this place is worth investing in. This place is worth my time. This place is worth my energy. This place is worth resources. Yeah. Now, I would imagine too. Okay. So, what values do you think are underpinned with iHeart Southeast?
Just showing love. I mean, just something so simple, just showing and spreading love, and hoping that just builds and just grows throughout the neighborhood and throughout the city, really. But and also fun. Like a lot of what we do with iHeart Southeast is just try to have a good time. Even if we're picking up trash, we like to say that that's not the most important part of what we're doing. It's also just being together and communicating with each other, and also anyone else that we come in contact with in the neighborhood. And it's not about how much trash we can pick up, it's how much we can build our relationships with each other, really. So that throughout COVID, we built parade floats and gone through the neighborhood and done chalk murals, just anything to like make something that's a little surprising. And I think just having fun is really a big part of iHeart Southeast as well.
It's so simple. It's so simple, but that's I think it's a sophisticated strategy at the same time. But it is simple. Bring people together, have fun, connect. From that, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you too for partnering with us on this project, Southeast Greenway Gateway.
Thank you.
On our website, we have a it says calls, and so you'll see two links under it. You'll see both of these calls, the self-portrait project and then the Greenway Gateways. And on that call, you'll see that we spent some time with the community in trying to figure out what we wanted to do. So we did the project under the Arches Memorial Bridge last year, and Dan Keel's on the phone and Polly Branch is on the phone. And they did some terrific work, and people, I just love being down there. People were pedaling by and just yelling, thank you to Dan and thank you to Polly. And I just seeing the kids playing in the sandbox and the events we did in Virginia Children's Theater. It was terrific. It was great. So we said, can we do this somewhere else? I think I checked in with Sunny and I'm like, hey, we got a grant, let's do it at midnight. But I think if we apply for it, we can, and so Sunny rallied, got some information for us. We got $10,000 from the National Endowment for the Arts and $10,000 from the city. And we want to do the same thing on the 9th Street Bridge and the 13th Street Bridge, where we're having trouble with graffiti. So, and it happens. And they paint on the bridge, and then Parks and Rec or facilities, somebody comes and paints some ugly gray over it, and it's patchy. And we think, it's not foolproof. Sometimes people will still put graffiti on artwork, but we think it looks a lot better to do some artwork or activate the space, show some love to it. If we love this space, maybe there'll be more respect for it. So that's kind of the strategy. And so we got a call, and we partnered with Roanoke College, and Roanoke College students studied the site. They studied different kinds of public art. They studied the people of Southeast who live there, who lives there now, what the history's been like. And we had a kind of a fun little evening. Well, for one day we went down, met on the project site, and we talked about goals. And then we had Sunny got everybody together. And Sunny, talk about that evening. What happened that evening at the Belmont Library?
We had a good time. I had the students present their ideas of what possibilities are available to the under the bridge there area. And I think that, the options are so wide open, but I think that I I don't know. It's gonna be, it's exciting. Everybody that was there is really excited and just proud that we're getting this opportunity to have this extravagant gift, I think, given to the neighborhood there. So the neighbors that were there are very excited.
And yeah, it was a terrific evening, and we had good conversation. We reflected on the students' work, and we kind of enumerated what some goals were. And we said we wanted to create a gathering space. You know, how do we make that a gathering space? The 13th Street Bridge is there by the water treatment plant, and it is going to be Roanoke's first accessible boat launch. And that work's going to happen this summer, I think. So it's a place where you can touch the river. You know, there aren't many places where you're invited to get down and touch the river. So we're excited about that. And so we asked that we create the artists consider, like, how would you create a gathering space? How would you engage people with the viewers and the character of Southeast Roanoke? So, you know, the Greenway brings people from all over. They're traveling the Greenway, they're on their bikes or whatnot, and they might not even consider Southeast. I mean, they might have seen the viscose plant and all the really interesting industrial architecture, the rivers there. So we've said, can you think about the natural site? How can we highlight the natural site of the river, the Tutelo Monacan people who first used the site, the role of the Roanoke River in settlement, the industrial history, the transition from large family farm plantations, the dynamic and resilient nature of the Greenway and the community, the diverse and interesting neighborhood today, or energetic neighborhood today, a welcoming sense of neighborhood and attracting current and future residents and investment, and then the fact that the boat launch is going to be there. And we've also asked, how can you engage the people in the art? What's it going to do? So can people help create it? They can appreciate it. Is there going to be interaction through multiple senses? You know, what's the role of sound on the site? Touch. Does it inspire the telling of more individual stories? For instance, does it create connections across people? Does it evoke joy, happiness, and a sense of belonging? So these are the goals the community said, and this is why we love artists and artist involvement in projects. So if we could say, hey, we want a mural and we want it to have this on it, but that's going to be pretty limited. If the community says, hey, here are the goals, and then let you be creative and come up with some strategies, then we're going to come up with a cool project or projects. So last time under Memorial Bridge, we had that $20,000 budget, and we got 3 different projects done. And I think they worked really well together. So Virginia Children's Theater, we had said we wanted to celebrate the diversity, you know, in the neighborhood, and they did storytelling around diversity. So people, you know, we kind of modeled how it was a gathering space. And then, you know, there was also Polly had been down there with the drum circle, and then there was dancing that's happening, and yoga that happens underneath that bridge. So it's already a cool gathering space. We're kind of highlighting that, encouraging even more of it. So so that's when I had that big list. I'm going to invite you to go back to the portal, and you'll see the calls there. Take a look at it, think about it. You know, that list, you don't have to hit every one of those things. Those are just prompts for you to investigate more. And then, so it's February 22nd at 2 p.m. is when it's due. And that one will go through purchasing. So that's going to be, and you kind of got to meet that date. If you have questions about the project, feel free to call me. If you've got questions about applying for the project, you'll see a number on there, and Nick in purchasing is our point of contact for that. So let me check in and see if there are any questions on, well, Sunny, what did I miss? Let me ask that question first.
I think that's great. And if you have any questions about a blank wall in Southeast that you'd like to put something up on, hit me up for that too.
And so Sunny, you know, Sunny's an artist. and a change maker. She won't call herself an artist. I'm calling her. Yeah, you can make that face, but I'm calling you an artist. She's a change maker. We've got projects that we're getting ready to put our second round of signal box art out. Sunny was part of the first round of that. And that the signal boxes are part of transportation's, a call we've done with transportation in the past to kind of highlight pedestrian safety. So we're going to have more of those kind of calls. I had a conversation this week. When we announced this year of the artist, it's already doing what we want it to do, and people are already putting additional money into the pot for more projects. So had a really good week. How we want to manage all this is a question, but I think we've got the energy here and are going to be able to do it. Now let me get back to my PowerPoint, and I'll tell you what else. I'll tell you what the next ones say. Okay, there's a new resource I've added. And now at the same time that you're exploring the community and listening in the community, it is interesting to see what other communities are doing. And you'll find a link. There's a big, beautiful, colorful wheel. We like color. We like a color wheel, right? And it's from Americans for the Arts. And it's called the Arts and Social Impact Explorer. And it's just kind of a fun interactive piece. So you can click on a topic, whether it's housing or housing or technology, lifelong learning, civic dialogue, livability, workforce development. So there are like topics where artists have gotten engaged, and with each one, there's a fact sheet, and it's got data and example projects from around the country. And those are kind of fun to explore. So we've added that to the resources as well. So I had a very pretty PowerPoint that you can't see. And then next week, our topic is going to be the artist as leader. And we're going to have more conversations like this as we go. We'll highlight another call next week. Some of these calls we'll preview because we want to keep building them with you. So we might have one where we're going to tell you kind of what we're doing, and we'll let you help shape it with us. And I'll know more by next week. and we are really building this as we go. The ship's first shape. Let's see, the first fear being drowning. The ship's first shape was a raft, which was hard to flatten after that didn't happen. It's so hard or so difficult to do one's planning in extremis. Let's see, so hard to do one's planning in extremis. Smoothing it out, sleekening the hull, making it more gracious later. I was trying to do it. There's a Kay Ryan poem about that I love. I was trying to get it out there. I was close. I missed part of it. But let me ask if there are any questions, any thoughts, any comments. First of all, I'll do it one at a time. Any questions on the call? Catherine.
Can you hear me, Doug? So as you're talking about the Southeast River one and the boat one, like I get this idea in my head. I think I put it in the chat, but I may not have put it in the group chat. I don't know. But I would be interested in knowing who is interested in getting a small group of people it's a big project. So taking that on by myself would be something I couldn't say yes to, but I wouldn't mind being part of a group that's like brainstorming, putting some ideas out. Maybe we come up with a plan. I don't have anything to do with implementing it, but it has something to do with thinking it through or coming up with some planning. So I wondered if we could kind of see who's really thinking about that, and we might want to sit down or even do like a Zoom COVID friendly chit chat time that focuses just on that, with some ideas that we could put together, like who out of the 50 people here today are considering maybe I'd like to throw in an idea, or maybe I have some skills I'd like to put on the table, but I don't want to do this all by myself. So is that something that we could maybe do?
Yeah. So if you're interested in a strategy like that, you can either email Catherine. You can drop your email into the chat if you want to, or you can email me and I'll get it to Catherine. And that's, gosh, Polly, do you remember? It was in your studio, and we were having a conversation, and I just said, I would love to see a collective of artists, working. I think it was at your studio. It was somewhere, like a collective of artists, like thinking through these things and coming up with ideas and asking, like, how do we engage how do we make this engagement happen to get better projects that do more? But yeah, and I hope that those kind of, it could be small, small groups that kind of emerge out of this based in affinity and interest. Any
Yeah,
other-
I hope so too, because, we do want to make sure that we're inclusive and looking at all the questions and things that we've been looking at over the years. Spoken word, I'm so glad you threw this in. There may be somebody on the here tonight that might want to sing us out or something, so that we might want to make sure that we are inclusive with our definition of arts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is Brian on? Let's see, because Brian couldn't come last week and we were supposed to have coffee yesterday and I had to run off to Richmond. Let's see, but I love that. Okay, that's going to be our last question. Let's see, any other questions in general, comments? And then we're going to ask, raise your hand if you want to give us a little bit of inspiring art on the way out. You just heard me trying to recite poetry and I butchered it. My apologies to Kay Ryan. Kyle.
Okay, if the arts were a food truck, and we're talking about arts doing something here, 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 and here. But if the arts were a food truck and had a giant screen on it where a dance studio could do it, and then anytime there was a nonprofit that needed visibility, they could pull in this trailer that had 3 open screens that were interchangeable, and the back end would be permanent with the Roanoke Arts on the back.
I love it.
So if the arts were a food truck, so you could have dancers, you could have the spoken word, you could have people from all over the place, and it could be hauled to festival or to play outdoors or up at the marathon races. And sponsors could sponsor a panel. I had that idea, but somebody said that my trailer idea was way over their head. So if I can get a collective of people to work on that, to be kind of like core resources that the city could gift to nonprofits and festival goers or the Convention and Visitors Bureau to razz up their events and the excitement.
Neighborhood organizations that want to have some art in their neighborhood.
Right.
The truck just pulls up. All right, well, thanks for that inspirational idea. We are right at our time, and if there are no other comments, we're gonna let that be our inspiring thought. It might spark some dreams tonight, some visions. All right, well, thank you all. We are going to have this recorded and we'll have it posted at roanokearts.org, and we appreciate you. Have a good night.